So we're going to go ahead and start this meeting. I want to ask a question of you before we start. The smoke in the building, is it going to bother anyone? Are there any problems with that?
Was he asked to put?
No, I told him to put it out. Just put it
Okay,
out.
so if it puts out, it should clear out.
Yeah, that's why it's really smoky right now, because he's pouring water on it.
Okay.
See, that would make a great sound, huh? Smoke gets in your eyes.
No smoke
Also,
on the water.
is there a fan that we could set? Is there a fan to bring in here to kind of blow it out of here?
Fire in the sky.
Oh, great.
I don't know where
Ian Gilliam is here.
it might take me a little while.
Okay,
Okay.
I know that there's not enough people here that have a problem with it, so we're going to go ahead and go on. All right, do we have any students? I don't think so. So,
That'd be the real last minute.
We got a Fabiano.
2 last days of school.
and well, I feel like I got to ask. So we're going to go ahead and.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and who would like to volunteer for the flag salute? Thomas, thank you.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And can we have roll call?
Gail Andrews. Okay, unexcused. John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen. Here. Larry Eaton. Unexcused. Craig Goldfarb. Unexcused. Cynthia Gagne is excused. Gwen Henry. Unexcused. Alonzo Jenkins. Unexcused.
He's graduating today from high school, so I think he did say that at the last meeting.
Yep.
Who?
Alonzo is graduating today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Alonzo is excused. Melanie Albrecht.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Kane Nicholas. Here. Thomas Norman. Present. Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli. Here. Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Vade.
Here.
And April, you don't have any training done, so you are going to need to go sit in the audience. You cannot be a board member until you have all your training done. It's been over 60 days.
Okay, copy that.
Lori?
In all the years that I was on the board, if somebody was behind on their training, they were still allowed to sit with the board, have discussions with the board. They just couldn't vote with the board. I don't know where that's written, that they can't sit with us. It's never been like that before, and I find it rather disturbing.
It is in the bylaws, and frankly, I find it disturbing that people are not keeping up with their training.
Okay, well, moving on. We're going to move on to agenda item number 2. Public comment, general public comment on non-agenda items. I have 2 cards. Anyone else want to fill out a card here? Oh, sorry. How's that? So, anyone else need to fill out a speaker card? Okay, we have 2 so far. So we'll start off with Heather from this, P66.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Krosner, and I'm with the Catella Stecca team that was engaged by Phillips 66 to help with redevelopment of their project. I just wanted to come here and let everyone know that we'll be coming back in July for a full presentation on the project. We've been getting public comments, which has been really helpful, and we just need a little bit more time to incorporate all of those into our project and make a few updates. And we can share all of that with you in July. We just want to really thank you for everyone's patience, for working with us, for providing, input and feedback previously, and just working with us on this. We really do view this as kind of a partnership and collaboration. And I know people are going to have many different comments, so we're not going to be able to address all of them, but we are really, truly doing our best and putting in a lot of hard work on this. So again, just want to thank everyone and let you know that we'll be back for the July board meeting to do a full presentation. If you will have us on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Up next is Carlos Garcia. Carlos, you have 2 items here, so you're going to need more than two minutes or less? Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to speak about 2 items. One is the possible rehabilitation of the pool here at Peck Park, and I would be hoping that the planning committee would take that as an important thing to have done in support of the park, and then the future funding of that facility. I know it's going to be in the millions of dollars to rehab, but it served the community that lives on this side of town, especially the poor community where families can't even have bus fare to get their kids back and forth during the summer. And the other is the Vietnam Memorial that Green Hills has created. I visited the memorial service on Memorial Day, and the service was well attended and was very well planned and set forward by the Green Hills staff. And I would hope that Northwest could comment on that and commend them for what they've done. They've also created a Vietnam Memorial, which will have the names of not only of those who died in Vietnam, but also those who served in Vietnam. And what they are asking for is that loved ones provide the name, rank, and service branch of individuals. But I had asked if they could expand that criteria to include friends of those who either died in Vietnam or who know of someone who served in Vietnam. And they weren't certain whether that criteria would be something they would adopt. For example, there was one man, Freddie Cigar, whom I knew played ball here at Peck Park and lived in the area where black families were allowed to live down by Bandini School. And he graduated from high school in 1965, was drafted into the Army in 1966, served in Vietnam, and was killed along with 3 of his squad mates while serving in the Marines. And I submitted a list of all those, I think there were 16 or 14 San Pedrins who died in Vietnam, if they would include that. And even though, for example, Freddie's name is included in the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C., based on their criteria, that list could not be used to add names to that wall if it had not been referred to by a loved one. In the case of Freddie, we played ball together as kids, but I don't know his family, whether they moved away. I know he's buried in Carson Cemetery, and his wife is named Gwen. But I'm sure that there are others who've fallen into that category that you knew that served in Vietnam and survived, but their family members have moved away or their parents have died, so it'd be difficult for loved ones to make that request. So I would suggest that Northwest inquire, or I don't even know if it would need a motion, but ask that that criteria be expanded so all those who served in Vietnam, who died in Vietnam, could be on that list. There were 3 Holy Trinity boys who were in the class of 1963 who all died in Vietnam. David Reed, David Dolan, and Bob Kelly. Bob Kelly's name is on the wall right now, but the other boys aren't. So Thank you for listening to me, and it's good to be back and see you all here and see all those who committed themselves to serve this community over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no other public comment cards, so we're going to close agenda item number 2. We're going to go ahead and go to our next agenda item, which is the Homelessness Liaison Report. Lori?
Good evening, Board. I'll try to keep this relatively short because I see you have a lot of motions on your agenda. So a lot's going on with budget cuts. The city, county, state, and federal budget cuts are expected to severely affect the services and programs that help those experiencing homelessness or about to be experiencing homelessness. In these challenging times, the best we can do is to try to stay well informed, avoid social media unfounded chatter, present innovative new ideas, and find ways to be of service to our community. There's always something each of us can do. Must say I was disappointed. We had the CD15 working group meeting, which only meets quarterly, and out of all the neighborhood councils in CD15, only one neighborhood council person showed up, and that was from Central. I can only relay so much information from the meeting. I will say this, that it was, especially since it was quarterly, there was a lot of content. Tim McCosker spent quite a bit of time explaining all the budget cuts that related to homelessness, housing, and how things developed, what he's expecting. It was extremely valuable information. I couldn't have written all that information in this report. In addition, we had Ivan Sulik, who's the representative from Supervisor Hahn's office, who also provided very in-depth information. And so both of them, besides talking about the budget, there's some new departments being proposed. So for the city, Tim talked about it's called the Bureau of Homelessness Oversight, which is to oversee homelessness spending. And so I think that passed through the budget, and that move is to prepare for looming challenges, including the possible dissolution of LASA. You can read through that. I have a link to the council file in here. On the county, each month I've talked about how Measure A money is going to be spent, and Ivan went into extremely great detail, answered a lot of questions. I have some information on here. You can look through that. So I've done something unusual this time, and I included a very long editorial article from the LA Times because it answers a lot of questions that you guys ask me every month on every aspect of homelessness. I can only say I hope you'll take the time to read through the report. I'll just read one paragraph because it did have a positive spin on it, which is nice to hear, that emphasizing the goals must be monitored and visible to the public shapes their elections. The goals must be neither so modest as to provoke cynicism, nor so overly ambitious that they set the stage for failure. In recent months, LA's approach to collaborating and crafting top-line targets appears to hit the sweet spot between those risks. This is cause for cautious optimism that its homelessness governance system may be finally on the path to sustain gains. So read through the article. The budget cuts are happening. The Newsom announced some pretty severe cuts to the federal thing. Also, the homeless count numbers were supposed to come out this Friday, and as usual, they're delaying it. Now they're saying the end of June, as soon as I have that information. But any of you can go to the LASA dashboard once that's up and get that information. And I think that's, considering everything that we have going on right now, that's really about it. But, if you can't make it to those quarterly meetings, you can subscribe to the CD15 working group. It's on the report. Get updates. I don't know what else to say, except I'd like to see all the neighborhood councils do more. And I'm waiting to hear what Outreach is doing, because they did latch on to a couple of ideas like food distribution, something. And I think our neighborhood council really should be responsible for attempting to help some aspect of homelessness. So that's all I'm going to say on that report for this month.
Lori, I have a question. Any idea about the homeless count this year? Well,
it's either going to go up or down.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is that what you meant? Do I have a feeling for it?
I'm sorry?
Are you asking if I have a feeling with how the numbers are going to go?
Well, I mean, with everything, the budget cuts and stuff like that, I mean, do you think it might be impacted? I know it's something that we need to address because of your association or your information threads. Perhaps maybe you've heard something about how we may or may not do it this year?
I'm hearing that the service providers, all the different departments are really kind of waiting to hear exactly the extent of budget cuts. Certainly not just budget cuts, but, the high cost of rents and the high cost of insurance nowadays. I could share one thing that I presented to both the city and the county, and you've heard me talk about before, for them to pursue the idea of government subsidized home sharing, homes that are already built, that aren't going to cost us money. And I'm pushing a little harder now for them to look at a program. It's not that easy because there's a lot of issues of vetting and stuff like that. But what we need to do is be innovative because the problem is going to get worse. So when you say, I try very hard to not give you doom and gloom, but facts are facts. So right, I don't know what the homeless count numbers are going to be, but from January to now, it's changed quite a bit. And also remember, the homeless count's run by LAHSA right now. They've pulled away all the contracts from LAHSA and all the funding. And Tim basically said they are hanging by a thread. They are looking at hiring a lot of the LAHSA people into the new county entity. So I think in the next 6 months, we'll see a lot of changes. There's also a timeline for the county entity on the site, on the link that I put there, so you can see what the progress is.
Thank you. Any questions? I have one from Adrian, and then Melanie. You want to go up?
Don't jam me up, dude.
Keep calm. Yeah, thank you. Always good report, Lori. Just, in spite of what's happening in downtown LA, is there anything, related to people who are undocumented? Do undocumented people apply for service? How does that work when it comes to the people who are undocumented? Because I think, it's very important, especially in people who are fearing, don't want to, or people who are just out and are scared, so that's just...
I may let our friend Drew field that question. Right now, there's a lot of fear going on. I don't need to tell you guys this. People who, even if they are documented, if they're Hispanic, they're hiding out. It's going to... So I think it's going to be worse, but I think that what's going to happen is just, if you're asking my opinion, is people are going to be afraid to even acknowledge that they're homeless or they need help because it's going to shine attention on them. And that's the sad part. I think we're going to, but I don't know. It's unveiling by the hour. Yeah.
Thank you. Melanie?
So question, so some of the funding for like the homeless services and stuff come from the federal funds, right? Like their health care is Medicaid generally, right? Mm-hmm. So if they cut Medicaid, we're going to have a lot of sick homeless people that aren't getting medical care.
Well,
and that's going to be a lot of, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to end up in Harbor General and everything else. That's, and plus food stamps, they use a lot of the general fund food SNAP stuff for them too. And I mean, this is going to get crazy.
Is this a question?
I'm just confirming my thoughts that this happens. So that being said, what you're saying about this is going to get worse, it probably adds to that, right?
If the big ugly bill passes, did I say that out loud? If that bill passes, then it's not just people who are experiencing homelessness. It's people that are not experiencing homelessness that are going to lose their health care and their food programs. Thus, the problem is going to get worse. All I can say is I tried so hard to be hopeful. What can we do to help people that fall into these situations? The hard part's going to be is people who are afraid of being rounded up or detained are not going to speak up. Like I said, maybe Drew can shed some light. I don't know what to say. I know.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I see no other hands. Thank you very much, Lori. Again, it's a very good and informative report. I hope people take a look at it, gain a lot of insight. We're going to go ahead and close out this item here and move on to elected governmental and public safety representatives. We have Drew from the Mighty 1-5. It's okay to say it like that, isn't it? And also we have Octaviano here.
The Mighty 1-6.
I feel like I should be on a step stool for me to be mighty here. Hi, everybody. Can I move this over? I couldn't see over Tom Norman's head. That's how short I am.
No pun intended, Tom.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to keep moving. There, sorry. There we go. Hi. It is a crazy time, isn't it?
Yep.
What do you mean?
So I'm actually going to lead with that then, and then I'll get into everything else. Councilmember McOsker, together with some of his colleagues, issued this statement regarding the activities, the ICE raids, the National Guard. Here it is. This was actually released yesterday. Today, Los Angeles witnessed an egregious escalation from federal immigration agencies as reports of ICE raid and activity occurred throughout the city. This indiscriminate targeting of children and families not only harms the individuals who are directly impacted, but destroys our community's sense of trust and safety in their own homes. We condemn this in no uncertain terms. Los Angeles was built by immigrants and it thrives because of immigrants. We will not abide by fear tactics to support extreme political agendas that aim to stoke fear and spread discord in our city. To every immigrant living in our city, we see you, we stand with you, and we will fight for you. Los Angeles will continue to be a place that values and dignifies every human being, no matter who they are or where they come from. We also ask that if you see what you feel are ICE raids or ICE or National Guard in our community, please give me a call. Take photos if it's safe to do so and send them to me, because in many situations they are supposed to give a heads up to LAPD, and so we can call our channel through our channels to see if there really is indeed something going on here, if LAPD knows about it. So please don't run straight to social media. There was a lot of unsubstantiated things floating around Facebook this weekend, created more fear. Councilmember McOsker actually took to the streets and he drove up and down our entire district and was able to confirm that there was no ICE activity, these raids or whatever in our community, which is why we have a protocol now in our office that if you see it, reach out to me, I'll check it out and I'll get you the correct information. Everybody here knows how to reach me. I'll give you my information anyway. It's drew.leach, Leach, at lacity.org. Or you can text me or call me on my cell at 213-905-0251. All right? Thank you. Is it okay if I go into some of the other orders of business that we need to cover? Okay. This month is Pride Month, which is a powerful reminder of the courage and advocacy of those who stood brave and strong in the fight for LGBTQ plus rights, and the work that still remains. It's a time to honor the history of those who paved the way, to uplift the voices of those who are still fighting for equality, and to stand with those building a future rooted in dignity and justice for all. Last year, Councilmember introduced legislation to amend the city's administrative code to allow the Progress Pride flag to fly at the Civic Center, not just at City Hall, but at any city-owned facility where the U.S., California, and City of LA flags are flown. By flying this flag, we are making clear statements that Los Angeles will continue to lead in protecting LGBTQ plus rights and ensuring that every person is seen, heard, and valued. On Friday, in Council Chambers, we celebrated Pride Month and recognized this year's 1-5 Pride honoree, Pete Settlemeyer, Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of the LA Harbor. Since taking on the role, Pete has worked to expand programs that empower young people to reach their full potential. His leadership is grounded in inclusion and equity, ensuring that every child has access to opportunity. Also, over the weekend, Mayor Bass signed the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget, which includes the recommended changes from both the committee and the City Council. Initially, the mayor's proposal called for eliminating over 1,600 filled positions. These cuts would have resulted in major layoffs and serious impacts to essential city services. Fortunately, after careful review by the Budget and Finance Committee, we were able to preserve approximately 1,000 of those positions and protect many of the services that our residents rely on. Also this week, the effort to preserve the 2 remaining buildings of the Terminal Island Fishing Village, Furusato, took another step forward with the Cultural Heritage Commission approving and recommending that the buildings located at 712 to 716 Tuna Street be given historic cultural monument status. The proposal now goes before a City Planning and Land Use Management Committee and then to full City Council for final approval. And we are maintaining the position that we want flexibility with these buildings. I don't know if some of you know what's going on with Walker's Cafe, but there are so many strict restrictions surrounding Walker's because of its historic designation, whereas we want these buildings to be able to be living and breathing and either restored to how they used to be with their facades or converted into office space, but something that allows them not just to decay in place, but to be used and to be celebrated. So we will continue to work on that. Also, there is an overnight closure of the northbound State Route 47 between the 710 and Henry Ford Avenue, planned for June 12th. So the evening of Thursday, this closure will begin at 9:10 p.m. on Thursday, June 12th, until 6 a.m. Friday, June 13th. Crews will be removing the temporary K-rails and restore the Henry Ford off-ramp to its full width following a long-term lane reduction. Detour routes are as follows. Northbound, eastbound Seaside Freeway traffic will be diverted to Anaheim Boulevard, and southbound and westbound Seaside Freeway traffic will be diverted to northbound I-110 connector and then to Henry Ford Avenue. Portable message signs displaying closure information have been deployed in the area. All right. And then finally, June 23rd is our our emergency preparedness town hall. This will be hosted by Councilmember McOsker together with all of the neighborhood councils, including you lovely folks. It will be at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium at 6 p.m. We will have some really important and fascinating presentations from a macro to a micro level, learning from the city's emergency management department to the Department of Rec and Parks Emergency Management. We'll be hearing from LAFD CERT about what they do for the community, as well as My Safe LA. And finally, we're going to carve out some time for the neighborhood councils to each share what they are doing in their own communities. And My Safe LA will be bringing free go bags for everybody that comes. So I look forward to seeing you. Be there or be square. Anything else? Yes, Ray.
Over the weekend, Saturday, they had a celebration of honoring Mexican Hollywood.
I would love to talk about that, even though it's not in Northwest San Pedro, but I'd still love to talk about it.
I think it's important to say because I think there's a lot of people who aren't aware of that particular historic area.
I'll talk about it. Can I talk about it?
Yes, I would.
Okay, great. So last year, a lovely woman by the name of Maggie de Alba, who was the voted president of the Mexican Hollywood Culture Society, came to the councilman and said, we have been working so hard to capture the history of Mexican Hollywood, which was the area was about 5 square acres, located now where the cruise terminal parking lot is, below the Vincent Thomas Bridge and in the area of Harbor and O'Farrell. And it was a community that was thriving, that took care of each other, that took care of themselves. We saw a lot of sports and basketball, baseball, and part of the reason why it got its name is that scouts would come down and pull people for movies as extras. They had a beach known as Bare Ass Beach because the people didn't have the necessary funding to provide swimsuits for their little kids. But it was a place that provided a lot of rich cultural heritage that was really essentially erased by the building of the Vincent Thomas Bridge in the early 1950s. The whole community had to leave, save for a few blocks that's, west of Harbor Boulevard. And in order to honor this community, we designated the intersection of Harbor and O'Farrell as Mexican Hollywood Square. We had about 100 people come out on Saturday morning where we unveiled the sign. But this is just the beginning. In addition to the signs on all four corners, we'll be supporting this group as we bring more events and more awareness to their history. We celebrate the culture of the people who grew up and are descendants of those who lived in this area. And we will be hanging some beautiful banners on the light posts along the promenade surrounding Mexican Hollywood Square. So it was a true honor to be a part of this. The councilman is so wonderful in that he celebrates everyone in who they are and their diversity. And he doesn't ask, how am I going to do this? He says, when am I going to do this? And that's what's so great about making this happen.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I believe I saw a hand up. Adrian?
It's okay.
Just a concern. Right there on Front Street, where you're going towards Harbor Boulevard, I believe, there is the construction of the SR-47. And right there, they've put in place the traffic patrol people. And what a poor job they do. That's all I would have to say. They do such a poor job. Twiddler thumbs, and sometimes when it's really busy, they're not there. This happened to me a couple weeks ago where I was walking that promenade, and the light to cross, right, to put the indicators on, it was not there, right? They were doing the construction. I guess when they were doing the construction, they took the button off, and there was no patrol officer. So on top of the patrol officer not being there, and there's no button to cross, I'm stuck as a pedestrian, kind of have to wait for the light, not knowing if it's, on the right signal, or just kind of be like, hey, don't run me over, so that's just my concern. I think it's a safety issue. You want people to be aware when they're walking, especially me, because I walk everywhere, so that's
also, it's running on-ramp, off-ramp from the harbor.
Yeah, it's that entrance right there, right behind Knoll Hill. So I just want to bring that to concern. It's a safety hazard, and, the last thing we want is someone to get hit by a big truck because there wasn't a button there, or because the highway, or the traffic man didn't do their job. So that's my.
Thank you. I'd like to blame Caltrans, as I always like to do, but I will definitely look into this to see if it is on us. So thank you.
If it's the same one, I think you and I were talking about it, and it wasn't a Caltrans thing. It was the city.
Okay, so they're DOT folks.
Yeah. I was stuck in that same.
Now, sometimes what happens is the terminal puts out a call for empty containers, and then all hell breaks loose. And that happened actually, I think last weekend.
Yeah. Usually they have people traffic control there.
Yeah, they do.
They didn't have any.
Okay.
That one. So
I'll look into
anyway,
this.
Appreciate looking into it. Any other questions, items? Melanie?
A couple people were asking me that, and I think I told them right, going up the entrance on the 47, there is an encampment up there. Somebody had a tent and was pitched up
We've
there.
been working with Caltrans on that. Yeah.
And is that a Caltrans? I told them it was probably a Caltrans
It is
thing.
Caltrans, yeah. So we've been working really hard on getting all of that cleaned up. We report it. I work with our state Senator Laura Richardson's office. So I liaise with Brian Martinez, who's his field rep down here, to put pressure on Caltrans to make these things happen quicker. There is a power box that powers the sprinklers. And that's what they're hooking into. And so we've been asking for several months that they put a cage around that together with a no trespassing sign so that we can arrest people when they're using it. It still hasn't happened. To our great frustration, I have a thread of like 112 emails with a neighbor that lives over there of them reaching out to us reaching out to Caltrans, and they clear it. They clear it, but it's like lather, rinse, repeat.
And the other question is, if we need to clean up because of that water like swell over on Capitol, because of all the garbage collecting in that and all of that, you
Where?
know,
By Target, are you talking about?
Target.
No, you're switching. Okay, so we're switching.
So, what's the process to get that cleaned
So
up?
I would call sanitation. They have and I can reach out to them for you as well, but I want everyone to be empowered to make the call if they need to.
Okay.
Sanitation has a 24-hour hotline, which I will get really quickly.
So call sanitation? Okay.
Let me see, sanitation hotline. So sanitation actually has the ability to suck up water. They have these like machines that suck up the water. So let's see, LA sanitation.
It's just that trash is like really heavily collected all there, and I mean, people are saying something to me as if I
Have
don't
you like
notice.
311 it? Did you do any
311?
311 to report like illegal dumping, bulky item pickup. And you can actually go to illegal dumping, and then one of the options that says what is there, you could just say I don't know. And then you can click miscellaneous trash and debris, and then where it is.
Oh, okay.
So I would also recommend that. Let's see, 24. But I'll also drive by there. If you can also text me photos is great, because if I get photos, then I can forward those. So the LA San 24-hour hotline is 1-800-773-2489. 24/7. Call them anytime.
And then the red curb thing, did you get those pictures?
Yeah, so I did ask about the red curbs. With the budget cuts, there are going to be challenges with getting things that are not a priority taken care of right away. Work orders are piling up. There's going to be less staff. They do have it. It's in their queue, but it's probably not going to happen right away.
Okay. And what's the objection to stakeholders painting the red curbs?
I didn't hear that, but if they were already existing,
Okay. I'm just wondering if it's a neighborhood watch project or public safety.
I mean, if you do it, I don't know about it. All I will say is that if a constituent paints a red curb where there wasn't one and somebody gets a ticket and they reach out to our office, we will provide them proof that that's not a real red curb, and then we'll paint it gray again.
Okay.
But if there happens to be a red curb that's faded and you don't want to wait until DOT does it and then it miraculously shows up bright red again, we're not going to say anything about it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Don't put that in the minutes. That's it.
Anyone? Okay, last call. All right.
Thank
Drew,
you.
thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
So one of the things really quickly that we were going to do is stay for the duration of the meeting in case there are any things that come up that need the council office's input or whatever. I was just wondering if there's anything today that you feel is important for me to be here for, so I have an idea of how long I'm going to stay. And if you want me to stay the whole time, I'm happy to do so.
Unofficially, I'm not seeing hands or anything like that.
Thomas raised his hand.
Thomas.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Tom.
If you look at the agenda, you'll see there's some council files we're supporting. So, if you have interest in AstroTurf, that one might be discussed. Artificial turf, sorry. It's a brand name, artificial turf.
Mm-hmm. Where's this one motion? Is this? Oh, I see 5.
Yep.
Okay.
Drew, also the first public safety CIS about Rancho LPG.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to stick around for a bit, maybe until the committee reports, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Octaviano.
Hello, everybody. Let's move from my very large laptop here. So, I'm Octaviano with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Good evening, everybody. I did want to start off just because of over the weekend protests and immigration enforcement. I wanted to share a statement that our general manager emailed to everybody just about 2 hours ago. If you can just listen as I read the statement here, and it touches on some resources that we'd like to reshare. So this is from our general manager, Carmen Chang. On behalf of all of us at Empower LA, I want to acknowledge the chaos, fear, and uncertainty many Angelenos are facing right now in the midst of federal immigration enforcement raids by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency and widespread protests. Los Angeles is unequivocally a city of immigrants, and the neighborhood council system prides itself on being expansive and inclusive to all, regardless of immigration status. The city has been working hard to provide resources at local libraries, community centers, and family source centers to make sure every Angeleno knows their rights and has access to important immigration information. Neighborhood councils have joined this effort, providing red cards across their communities and empowering their neighbors. Whether you are at work, home, school, or in the community, the Office of the Mayor shared the following 4 points. If officers ask you questions, you have the right to say, I choose to remain silent. 2, you have the right to consult with an attorney before answering any questions or signing any documents. 3, if you have valid U.S. immigration documents, carry them with you. Never carry false documents or lie about your immigration status. 4, no law enforcement officer can enter your home without your permission unless that officer has a warrant signed by a judge. An administrative warrant from the Department of Homeland Security does not give officers the right to enter your home against your will. The diversity of Los Angeles is what makes our city truly special, and we continue to work closely with the Office of Mayor Karen Bass, the Los Angeles City Council, sister city departments, and the neighborhood council system during these challenging times. That's from our general manager, Carmen Chang. If you didn't get this email, I can resend it. The resources mentioned, there is a hot link, hyperlink to it that leads you to resources. And the red cards mentioned, there's also a hyperlink that leads you to, I believe, the template that you can print out on your own. Let's see, on a lighter note, training development, more in-house. We're still looking for board member feedback on developing training resources for our board members that are incoming. So I'll resend the survey to get folks on the board right now to share what their experiences have been with the current trainings that we provide online and what you'd like to see. We do have in the process developing in-person training as well, so look out for that. And just to reiterate, I know we're closing out, so we did close out the whole budget review process with the City Council, but I wanted to reshare that there's a council file that's still active, 25-0600. There have been quite a few neighborhood councils that have weighed in on that with the filing of a community impact statement. And if you haven't visited our empowerla.org website, we do have some pretty cool improvements, just two to highlight. So if you visit your web page that we host for you, so we have 99 of them, it's a lot more clear which trainings expire every 2 years and which ones do not expire. And those trainings that have expired, that date is now highlighted in red. So that's cool. I've caught a few mistakes, so I think we're still working out the kinks on the back end. So if there isn't a highlighted red on one of the expired dates, let us know, and let me know, and then I'll share it with our internal tech team to iron out those wrinkles. June 20th is the deadline for neighborhood councils to use your neighborhood council bank card for board-approved expenses. And last but not least, I wanted to present a certificate to the board. signed by our General Manager and our Board of Commissioners President Joy Atkinson in recognition of your service to the City of Los Angeles as we honor and celebrate 25 years of neighborhood councils presented back in December, but there wasn't some presence for some reason. It wasn't well announced, so I'm not going to knock on President Regalado on that. But we did get these, I think, in April, and there was some online attendance, and I wasn't here, so I'm just getting around to personally presenting this in person to you all. I'd love to take a picture with Ray holding it and everybody surround, whoever's here, of course, and then sharing it with our internal staff to hopefully reshare out there in our social media. So if that's okay, taking a minute.
Yeah.
And that would conclude my report, so.
If we could take like 2.5 minutes and go out in the hallway because the light's better, we'll get something and come sit back down.
Send a professional photographer, right? Thank you, Chris.
That is his forte.
I know, right?
Come on, everybody.
I want to get
5, and that's our consent calendar. We have 2 items. We have approval of the May 12th stakeholder meeting minutes and also approval of the May 21st special meeting minutes.
so moved.
Second. Kelly Miller.
Second, and discussion? No hands. Let's take a vote.
Who was the second? Was that Chris?
No, Kelly.
Kelly?
I beat it by a second.
Okay.
I seconded by a second.
We must be at the Laugh Factory.
I know, 'cause you
Okay,
can't make these
for the
up.
consent calendar, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBret.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas. Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
It's unanimous with 10.
Thank you. We're closing out item number 5 and moving on to item number 6. These are motions. Let me ask, I don't know about others, but honestly, the smoke is starting to get a little bit to me at this point.
A little bit.
If we can move fast through this so we can
Yep.
maybe
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a great idea.
get out of here,
We can speed do this.
unless someone has oxygen.
Yeah.
But
We can do this at speed.
I thought it was just me because I'm starting to
no,
like.
it's fine.
Okay.
So let's try to get through this as quickly as possible.
So first, the MER on page 15. This is not out of committee because it wasn't ready. I need
So moved.
okay, Vic, and a second.
Second.
Chris, okay. Any discussion? None being. Thomas,
Yes.
Kane, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Okay, next is the budget. This is out of committee. The little red is what we have left over in the columns. So that's just kind of playing with what we're going to have with rollover added to the unallocated. It'll be about $7,100 is what it looks like. So any discussion further? Thomas?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
John Barbera?
Yes.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
So the next item is page 18. And this is our new fiscal year budget. After many conversations and back and forth with city clerk and everybody, we are going with $32,000 right now until we hear otherwise. We can change this budget every month if we need to, but I was advised by city clerk's office that we'll go with the 32,000 right now because there's a pending motion in City Council that has to be weighed on, where Yoslowski has asked for our budget to be restored to $32,000. And it's still being entertained by the mayor. So we shall see. So this is out of committee. Any discussion on this? Okay. Thomas?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
John Barbera?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. The next item on here is to print for tabling items for the public safety town hall for emergency prep, $200 for the handouts out of committee. Any discussion? Thomas?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll do the public safety.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next thing is the CIS for public safety. This is regarding motion Council File 11-18-13-S13. It is requesting that LPG, because they had not been inspected or anything in the blast zones, that we support a review of the code requirements, zoning laws related to distance requirements, blast zone, buffer zones, with findings to guide the responsible decommissioning and relocation of Rancho LPG storage facility. This is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
Planning and Land Use and Port Committee. Diana or Thomas?
Diana first.
Good evening. Yes, I'm going to start, but we have seven items out of planning tonight, and so we're going to trade off with 4 of us giving different items for you, so you won't have to listen to one of us for all of them. The first item is a letter with preliminary comments on the Phillips 66 reuse plan. It's on page 23 in your packet. You heard earlier tonight, Phillips had originally planned to be here tonight to present their plan to all of you. We did see it we saw a draft at the Planning and Land Use Committee, and they were on a very quick turnaround, saying that they wanted to submit by July 1 to the City Planning Department. So we prepared comments to be considered tonight. Then when we found out they weren't coming, we thought, this is good anyway because they can have these preliminary comments and maybe take them into consideration as they are finalizing their plan before they come back in July. So that's why you have it tonight. We consider these to be preliminary comments. There will be many other chances to comment before this is done. We may have some very different comments after we see their presentation in July. But these are preliminary comments. So the first thing I think to say is that there's 420 acres there. And basically their plan is divided into what I would consider 3 sections. One section is the 10 acres that are on the north side of Anaheim. That is, they abut the Harbor Regional Park. Then there's 65 acres on the south side of Anaheim that they are setting aside for commercial and community serving things. And then the remaining 420 acres, the backside where all the tanks are, that would be for warehouses. So the 10 acres along the north side of Anaheim, they're planning to put in recreational facilities, with a 2-story multi-use gym and outdoor playing fields, primarily for soccer. The outdoor facilities, they said, would be open to the community, probably through an agreement with an organization like the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club. It's kind of vague right now, but that's what their thinking is. The indoor facilities, it appears that they are planning to find a private operator who would then charge for the use of the indoor facilities. In the 65 acres fronting on Anaheim, they're planning to have community serving retail, restaurants, and a lot of open space. There's a large children's play area that actually features an homage to Smiling Jack. The plan includes what they're calling a town center with a community room on top of retail restaurant space. There are 4 miles of walking paths and a significant amount of open space. The remaining acreage, as I said, basically where the tanks are, is stated to become 800,000 square feet of warehousing, such as the ones that we have at the top of Westmont. They plan to build a new tunnel under the Harbor Freeway to provide direct truck access into and out of the facility to the freeway. So the proposed letter thanks them for their efforts to involve the community and addresses a number of issues and concerns. It discusses the importance of community engagement and transparency, and provides several recommendations, including the establishment of a permanent community advisory committee for this project. It highlights the importance of youth outreach and gives several examples of how that might be done. In terms of the actual development plan, the biggest concern of the committee was the lack of any housing. Given that Los Angeles is required to plan for over 450,000 new units over the next 8 years, we feel that the lack of inclusion of housing is a real missed opportunity. This proposed project is adjacent to a freeway, bus lines, and would not intrude into existing neighborhoods, so it seemed like a logical location for housing. The recommendation is for them to consider mixed use, that is, to have housing above the retail and restaurants. So the bottom floor would be retail, restaurants, and then it would build above that housing. They've actually included a retail pad that is large enough to accommodate a Costco. They've been under discussions with the possibility of a Costco. They can't promise that yet, but that's a possibility. Costco, as it turns out, is actually planning a store someplace else in Los Angeles as a mixed-use facility with apartments over their store. And we've actually shared previously pictures with them of that site. As brick and mortar has been replaced by online shopping malls across the U.S. are developing mixed use. Over and over again, malls have been taking out or converting to have mixed use. So the letter provides some examples from Orange County of mixed use malls. Mixed use provides for a more vibrant community with a built-in customer base that would not need to use cars to access the stores and restaurants, so it has some positive traffic and environmental impacts. It could provide housing for employees of the stores and the warehouses, as well as first responders and teachers and others essential in our community. The next major issue that we dealt with was the warehouses. And we talked about, well, we appreciate that they would provide additional jobs, which is one of the things they've talked about. Those tend to be very low-paying jobs, and increasingly, warehousing jobs are being replaced by automation. So we're recommending that some of the warehouse space be used to create opportunities for a variety of light manufacturing, not just warehousing. For businesses such as those who have outgrown the space at Altasea, artists, other small entrepreneurs, something like the business park on North Gaffey, if you think about that, that's a lot of light manufacturing in there. This would also reduce some of the anticipated truck traffic. And then we also note that the EIR, when it is developed, should consider the impact of the truck traffic on the 110 freeway as well as on other streets. So oftentimes the EIRs forget to include the impact on the freeways. They're proposing a community room in what they're calling their town center. And this actually is a suggestion that came from Ray. So we note that we want to ensure that this space is available to community groups at no cost and recommend that a committee be established to create policies regarding its use. The 10 acres on the north side of Anaheim, where they're proposing the soccer fields and the gym, would really be very ideal for housing. We understand that there's a significant lack of playing fields, particularly in Wilmington, which is why they're proposing them rather than housing there. That's one of the reasons they're doing that. So our letter, we also know that there is a lot more space available at the Wilmington Waterfront Park and also at 22nd Street Park, which are under the jurisdiction of the port, which could be used for soccer and other playing fields. So the letter requests that Phillips work with us to try to get the port to use those things for playing fields. There's a section on honoring the harbor area's multicultural and port heritage with some recommendations. There's some recommendations for improving connectivity and creating an inviting street edge along Gappy. There's a section on public transit that talks about the fact that the Metro line has a plan that could eventually connect the Green Line to San Pedro, but it would probably need to go through the Phillips 66 property. And at the same time, Metro also is bringing the Vermont corridor down to PCH and the 110 freeway. So our recommendation in here is that the applicants talk to Metro and discuss the future possibilities, and that they refrain from building any improvements that would be difficult to remove in that potential right-of-way. As a traffic mitigation measure, we suggest they consider turning 5 Points into a roundabout, and the letter contains a number of statistics as to why roundabouts are safer, more time efficient, and more cost effective. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment to build something truly outstanding, as this large parcel has the flexibility to accommodate transit, better traffic flow, housing, and retail, which people will want to visit and use even into the evening if they're living there. So that's the letter you have before you tonight. This is, as I said, preliminary recommendations with the idea that we could come back for more. There'll be a number of other opportunities, including at our July board meeting when they come. Once these plans are filed with the city, we'll want to look at them again more closely and may have additional comments at that time. And then right after they've been filed with the city, they are hoping that very soon after that they will start the EIR process. And so there will be opportunities to comment at several points in the EIR process. And then after that, there will be city hearings. So there will be a number of other opportunities. We're many years away from this being built. The committee unanimously approved the motion to submit this letter. I want to thank all the committee members who helped contribute to the letter, and I'm ready to answer any questions or, yes, Victor.
What's the definition or description of homage to Smiling Jack?
It looks like Smiling Jack, but it's really something that children can climb on. It's smaller than Smiling Jack.
So they're not going to leave the tank?
They're not going to, oh no, all the tanks are coming out, all of them. They're not going to leave any tank. But you'll see it when they come.
I'd rather have the real thing.
In July. That was one of the things I heard from community is we want Smiling Jack. So, and whether or not they'll do the trick or treat there was kind of, and I don't think they were clear with us when we asked that question. They hadn't decided that yet. Anything else? Otherwise, you can take a vote.
Okay. So let's go ahead and take that vote.
Okay, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Kelly Miller.
Yeah, yes.
You sure? Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous of 10.
Thank you. The next item is a proposed letter to Councilmember McCosker requesting that he introduce a city council motion to transfer management of the Harbor Boulevard medians north of 7th Street to the Port of Los Angeles. The port already has the responsibility for the medians south of 7th Street. So the proposed PIP recommendations, which I don't think this board has seen yet, include $10 million for what's called a harbor gateway beautification. Transferring the medians to the port would allow them to include those medians in that beautification project and provide continuity responsibility for the Harbor Boulevard medians so that all of the medians on Harbor Boulevard were under the port. This would also allow the bid to pay for maintenance of the area south of 3rd Street, the medians. That's the proposed letter. Again, it was unanimous out of committee.
Questions? None? Okay. Well,
John Bavera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
yes.
Michael Signorella.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Unanimous with 10.
Thank you. And then Kane's going to do the next one. You can do it from there, Kane.
Kane, before you start, is this a CIS that you're doing, or is it just a letter?
It's a letter. It's a draft, actually, for a letter in opposition.
It's a letter, then it's not. It doesn't have a council file.
Correct.
Okay.
And I want to check with my committee members as well.
Okay. It's related to the county.
Okay. Just making sure.
Good question.
So, my name is Kane. We are also in opposition to SB 71, and we've been working on a letter to draft where the opposition to commercial advertising on billboards on county lifeguard stations. And we are summarizing, whereas the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council strongly opposes any commercial advertising in the beach area and requests that the city council members for the beach areas oppose the proposed coastal permit amendment to expand the number, size, and location of billboards on the beaches. And throughout our draft letter, we have 7 items highlighting and maintaining the right for the public to enjoy the access to the coast so that we can experience it in its natural state. They are also proposing that 100% of the advertising revenue would be used for funding an existing or expanding new recreational or educational beach. However, that's not an excuse to violate the Coastal Act and thus continues to degrade the beaches that we value very much. And so we want to submit this for a draft. We want to submit the draft letter in opposition, and we move that we oppose to the commercialization and advertising on billboards in county lifeguard stations. Question? That's right.
So I just want to be clear. We're only talking about putting advertisements on county lifeguard stations only, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how many do we have in our general area? Because I know we have some further up the coast. There's just 2, right? Okay. I'm sorry. The 2 that's in our general area, it's not.
They might have an
Right.
initial
Yeah,
list,
no,
but
right,
once
yeah.
they do it,
Okay.
they change the next day.
I'm good.
Any
No
other
other questions? Take the vote. Oh,
I just had I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but is safety a factor as well? It seems to me like any signage would sort of reduce the public's ability to recognize like important safety signage.
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah, okay. Cool, thanks.
Any other questions? Yes, Drew.
For county lifeguard checks?
Yes.
You're talking about at Timberlake Beach, Outer Beach, and Harborwood?
Oh.
Those are the only two locations that have lifeguard checks.
Correct. Yes.
So I mean, this is definitely something that we can raise to the council member, but the city council does not have any oversight over county actions in their own jurisdiction. It's a letter to the county.
Yeah.
So thanks for the city council to oppose it. It's not really our jurisdiction.
No, just taking a stand.
Can you use the mic?
Commission because they need coastal action or coastal commission action in order to put these billboards up. So we're originally going to go to the coastal commission proposing granting these permissions.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay, take the vote.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Dick Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris By.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
Number 4.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be doing the next three in order, and I'm glad the first one's easier than the second one. I think this is co-chair. This is coming out of committee. This is a CIS related to Council File 25006-S1. And as we know, we don't want to wait for the next fire to act, especially in light of the smoke in the air and the potential fire risk of whatever happened today. We know our hillside community sits exactly where fires could spread fastest and could end up harming our homes, as we've seen tragically in other communities in Los Angeles this very year. So this motion directs our fire department to pursue CAL FIRE's wildfire prevention grants for sustainable brush clearance, including goat grazing, which this council has discussed before. For those not up on goats, why goats? Well, they saved the Reagan Presidential Library, or at least there's a little damage, but they saved most of the library when the easy fire struck, if you remember that. 400 goats had quietly cleared the brush that might have fueled a total disaster. Okay, so we've seen they work in this area. What makes it smart is that goats can navigate terrain too steep for crews and work to do safely without chemicals, machinery, noise, and they actually improve the soil health while eating invasive plants that fuel fires, something we've been working on in the canyon. Now, CAL FIRE has awarded $117 million for exactly these types of projects. The traditional methods don't reach our strokes as effectively, especially in areas like Peck Park, so we think that this should be a no-brainer. It's been proved in areas that face similar dangers. Anaheim's had success. Marin County, Ventura are local examples you may or may not be aware of. So we know the grants are available now. If we act tonight, we can implement hopefully more regular, semi-annual, or more frequent brush clearing without burdening the city budget, which we know is under strain, and just help create more fire breaks before the next fire season. So it's not about prevention. This is about leadership. Let's make Northwest San Pedro the model for sustainable wildfire protection that keeps our families safe and our environment healthy. I'd appreciate your vote.
Question. Okay, I think I might have answered my own question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Ask and answer.
Are they the motions? They're promoting the usage of goats. It appears. At least that's what I'm thinking. I'm reading on the second motion.
Well, they're not as keen on goats as we are, but they're not opposed, and so we're trying to really focus on that. I think they're very interested just in all the different areas of wildfire prevention, which we're also stating we're in favor of, but we want to give them that extra nudge to goats. So I wouldn't expect from our letter that there are going to be goats all over this fine city, but maybe we'll be the catalyst.
Drew, do you know if our council member is in favor of goat usage?
Is he goat friendly?
So I did. He is not anti-goat.
Safe answer.
Politics.
I'm sorry.
Can you use the microphone so we can hear you?
Oh, Lord. What's that sound?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
So he did introduce an amendment that talked about brush clearance and did mention goats, et cetera, and other types of brush clearance processes. So he is not anti-goat. That being said, I have checked specifically into Peck Park Canyon before, and the answer that I get from the Record Park higher-ups is that they don't know when to stop eating and have eaten too much into the root systems and destabilize or can cause erosion, so that when there is rains, it could flood. And so that's why specifically in Peck Park, they have not used goats here, because they eat too far into the ground. It doesn't mean that the goats can't be used in other areas. It's just when we asked about Peck Park, the answer was not here because it's not appropriate. But we are in the middle of a lot of brush clearance activity. The county just cleared the corner of 9th and Western. City cleared Bandini Canyon, cleared also Leland Park, both sides of Gaffey. For future, if you see a limo in Leland Park, those are the contractors that do the brush clearance. We thought they were homeless people, and we reported an encampment, but then learned that no, that is
The brush clearance team.
so. But they have been apparently the contractor for 5-6 years. They did a great job, and so we take brush clearance seriously. Also, 25th Street going down, so we're doing a lot. But goats in terms of Peck Canyon are just not appropriate for this area, and you'll have to keep. I would say if you really want to go all the way, take it to the RAP Commission.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Vote.
John Bavera.
Yes.
Nick Christensen and Melanie LeBray.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ken Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Vite.
Yes.
10 for 10.
All right, move into the next one. All right, this one has to do with artificial turf. Sorry, I had AstroTurf on the brink. I've been doing a lot of research on this area about alternatives and different companies in this area. So, again, Thomas Norman, co-chair of the Planning Land Use Support Committee, behind the motion on page 42 with supplemental information, but the motion that came out of committee is entirely on 42. And stand before the community, thank people for staying, especially those who wanted to know if they could go home, but appreciate Drew staying for her input on this. Appreciate Lori, who I've spoken to about this, staying for this. Because, our children's health and city's climate future depend on decisions we make about the environment, especially artificial turf. This group has spoken against artificial turf at least twice that I'm aware of, and there are some decisions we should not be postponing. So the motion that we prepared, which is CS in support of Council File 240602, if amended, so it's a little complicated what we're asking for here because it involves a substitute motion, is to direct multiple city departments to conduct thorough science-based analysis of artificial turf, including there are at least 8 new companies that are offering artificial turf that appear to not have the disadvantages that have been associated with artificial turf. And things that we want to pay attention to in this report are the forever chemical levels, and in making sure that they test for all of them. There's some companies that test for some and not all. The heat impact, because that seems to be very clear science that artificial turf gets to be, I think, 40 degrees higher than grass. The true life cycle cost, the water usage between that and grass being the alternative. Disposal challenges. The new products are designed to be removed entirely every 20 to 25 years. So we see what the total health risks are and the environmental cost to our community. Because industry claims and environmental concerns are pretty conflicting, and in some of the research we have in the packet, and then the additional research I've done, since then. Not an expert to know exactly where we stand on the particular options being considered at West Harbor. But cities across California have taken action as well as around the nation. Boston pretty famously banned anything with the forever chemicals containing turf. And California has legislation passed that allows local bans. Basically, our motion positions LA as a leader in evidence-based decision-making. Rather than choosing sides right now in this heated debate, we're demanding transparent, comprehensive data that our residents deserve. We need an independent analysis of all the claims, environmental benefits, health risks, true costs, and long-term impacts on this decision. So the committee's done its homework with this resolution. We hope the city will begin to do ours. Therefore, we urge your support of the CAS and support of Council File 240602 if amended. Thank you for listening and ready for questions.
Questions? Anyone? Comments? Lori?
I've been focused on everything you wanted to know about artificial turf, but were afraid to ask. There's been a lot of somehow some disconnect between what I was trying to get accomplished and what actually appeared with the Port Committee. A little frustrating because I did submit a motion to the Executive Board and they did approve my motion. Okay, my motion is on page 43. I'm not going to go into a great lot of detail. I've included a very detailed report from Dean Penchoff, who is quite an expert on this, who not only provided a lot of good information on all the problems with all kinds of artificial turf, but he's included all the resources so that people could see where the information came from. Here's what I'm going to wrap this up to say. West Harbor is supposed to be an international tourist site. They're proposing to install a 50,000 square foot artificial turf lawn surface for the amphitheater. Okay? The primary purpose of the proposed West Harbor development is to bring visitors to the waterfront and make it a high point of attraction for San Pedro, a goal we all share. If waterfront amenities are perceived as welcoming, enjoyable, and safe, people will come. But artificial turf has so many problems that it could inhibit public presences. Therefore, an inviting, safe, drought-resistant, natural grass lawn, I feel, is a much better option. I care about the community. I care about the health. I care about the particles that are going to go in the air affecting global warming. And the thing is, as an international tourist site, we should be setting the example of sustainability and environmentally responsible. My letter is in there. I'm planning, whether you guys include my letter or not, to send this as a personal letter to the Harbor Commission, copy to the, and to West Harbor, and a copy to the City Council. I would like to see the board send this as a letter approved. It could be separate from the motion that you have on here. You can amend it. I did research the supplement you referred to, Thomas, was approved by the City Council. You're just adding a little bit more research. I think there's quite a bit in the substitute amendment. I don't see that much importance of your amendment, but if the board feels so, I just, I was late to the table on this issue. I wasn't, I'm so focused on homelessness, but being on the Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission, who did weigh in very strongly on this, and they filed a letter. So, I may be late to the table. Guess what? You're never too late to address an environmental issue that affects the health of our community as we're choking on smoke in this room. So, I'm not quite sure how to approach this, to propose this, but I do feel very strongly, and I'm very disappointed that the motion that came out of the Executive Board, that a change was made after that to not include this as a separate amendment as the Executive Board voted on. Very disappointed in that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Pat, please.
Yeah. Are you on this one, Pat, or are you on the one you're going to introduce?
Right.
Pam, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah, no. Pat, you were going to be on for 7, so I don't think you have a comment. Oh, you.
Use the mic, please,
then use the
so
mic.
we can hear you.
Okay. So, any other comments? Okay. You want to vote on?
Is this letter part of the motion or not? No. Okay.
No. So we're voting on the planning and land use and port motion that is amended. No other comments.
Can I just add one more thing?
However, the neighborhood council votes on this. If they're supporting the ban, even if amended, that will give us, the neighborhood council, the ability to speak at the port commission for 5 minutes. And both coastal and central have already voted, and they're intending. So we would have a stronger voice, 5 minutes for each one of us.
Thank you. With that said, let's go ahead and take the vote count.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Dick Christensen, aye. Melody LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Weig.
Yes.
Okay. It's unanimous with 10.
I'll just interject a report that I believe Kane is going to introduce the letter that you had from Executive Committee at our next scheduled planning, land, and port. So it could potentially come out, or at least that will get discussed separately. But
Let's hope that West Harbor doesn't install artificial turf before that happens.
so.
Thank you.
All right. So now I'll move on to one I think will bring a little bit more joy. And not, I mean, environment's joyful, but this one's just kind of fun and exciting to think about. So we have, want to discuss relocating the Olympic sailing to San Pedro, and we are aware the council member is, we're trying to be supportive of what we think is a good idea. So the committee's supported this, and I guess I should have also thanked the committee members, as Diana did. Sorry for not thanking them in the creation of this one as well as the previous two. So this basically is a decision to put excitement back in the community, bringing athletes. We see how exciting Fleet Week has been. We've seen I always get the name wrong of the sail. It's sail, anybody remember any Jason here? But the great sailing event we had a few weeks ago. Yes, that Grand Prix here. So we hope to bring it from Long Beach to, and I didn't know this till I did my research. Is it true that the area they'll be sailing in is called Hurricane Gulch?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that was a history lesson for me, and it's considered one of Southern California's premier sailing venues. So local sailors have known for decades, but we want Olympic officials to know. Physics are simple. Our unique topography, positioned between the Palos Verdes Peninsula and Catalina Island, creates this Bernoulli effect, meaning that there's no reason that the Olympic Committee shouldn't choose us. We just need to continue to do things like this, pass a letter in support of moving that from Long Beach to San Pedro. I remember seeing that wonderful video about the Olympics, which seemed to totally overlook our fine community. So this is one thing the mayor hopefully could get behind this and support us to do a better job representing the strong city of LA. I don't think I need to speak or belabor this one anymore, so I'd appreciate your support. And again, thank the members of the committee for their work on this.
We have a comment, question, Melanie?
It's kind of a comment question. Drew's probably going to be the one to be able to answer this more than anybody. If sailing is moved to Pedro, it's my understanding is that the scout shop will be closed and everybody down there will lose their job. If sailing is moved to San Pedro, that the Olympic Committee will take over the scout shop and the facility there, and the full facility will be closed permanently and never to open again.
No, that is not true.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the Olympics. I know that there are discussions because they are currently leasing that area from the port. The port owns it. There are discussions about, is this going to be this way forever? And they're trying to figure out ways so that the scouts and sailing can share the space.
Okay.
But there is nothing official, nothing being discussed, nothing being determined or have been determined that if there's no like cause and effect that if sailing comes, then the scouts will lose their access.
Yeah,
That's not-
okay. It's just, I can't vote for something if it's going to mean people losing their jobs.
So there's no correlation between one or the
Yeah.
other. So there's no correlation between what you just said and the Olympics coming to Pedro. One is not dependent on the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Well, Drew's there. Another follow-up. I've had a couple of sailboarders tell me that if it moves to San Pedro, they will not be allowed to do any sailboarding or wakeboarding in the San Pedro area whenever that decision occurs until the Olympics. Could you squash that rumor too, that suddenly we'll no longer be able to sail or
I haven't heard of that.
windsurf in the area?
That's the first time I've ever heard anything like that. If you can shoot me an email, I can look into that for you. It sounds definitely kind of extreme. But I can't confirm or deny that, but I'll have to look into it. But in all of the discussions, that is not something that I heard.
Okay, it seemed frivolous, but I guess I will send an email then.
Yeah, if you can please send me an
I have a
email.
colleague who regularly comes down here, and he said his community was told it'd be a horrible thing, and I'm like, I don't know how they would have the ability to keep you off the waterfront.
That sounds kind of interesting. It doesn't sound like, it sounds a little bit extreme. So let me but I'm not going to say no because I don't know.
Okay.
Send me an email and then I can look into it.
All right.
I could see where they wouldn't allow it during the Olympics,
Yeah, during
or
the Olympics.
or while they're securing the area, but that wouldn't be indefinite. I mean, that makes sense if something's temporarily reassigned or temporarily closed while the Olympics are here. Because I worked at LAX in '85 and things were closed because of security and positioning of stuff.
But not
for
2
a
years
week
out.
or 2 weeks or whatever it was, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine that any of that area would be closed for 2 years, But I'll still look into it and get that answer to you.
Lori?
I spoke to Pam Kraft a couple of months ago, and there were some people from the Olympic Committee that were inspecting the facility more as for training exercises. I didn't think that the sailing was going to be right there. But Amanda Enriquez, who used to be our Drew, is now the director over there. So maybe we might want to ask her if she could come or ask her for an update besides Drew.
Yeah.
Maybe she has more information and could share it with us. But I also will reach out to Pam, and although they don't always tell her what's going on. But she didn't seem to think they were going to use the whole facility for that.
Yeah.
But Melanie, where did you hear that?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Drew?
So not related to this, but in regards to the transfer of the median on Harbor, north of 7th Street, we already have a motion on this. So we need to make a CIS on that motion. Yeah, I'll get the CIS for you, but we do have a motion.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Vote count?
John Madura.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBrecq.
Abstain.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorella.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, 9 ayes, 1 abstention.
And number 7.
Good evening, Pat Nave, member of the Board and Public Planning Land Use Board Committee, item number 7. Number 7 is a community impact statement asking the City Council to oppose Senate Bill 71. The status of things is that a City Council committee has already approved SP 71, but apparently has not gone to the full council yet for inclusion in the city's legislative program. So what is SB 71? Well, it's an environmental motion out of the state to make permanent a number of exemptions in the area of transit, public transit, from the California Environmental Quality Act. This is a very kind of common move. Many times government will try to find areas where a full environmental review is not needed, particularly, so they come up with categorical exemptions for them. And the state already has done that with respect to a number of them, but they're going to expire in 2030. And this is a bill that would make these exemptions permanent, and it would also expand them. I would strongly suspect that since this bill comes out of State Senator Wiener, it's probably connected with the move to create housing as much as possible and to eliminate transit studies as an impediment to expanded housing. In other words, you could have a number of transit exemptions then that might impact us because of expanded density and things like that without any consideration. So in committee, what we've discussed and come up with is that we could support SB 71, provided that it exempted the certain transportation projects from CEQA. In other words, didn't expand what's already been exempted and then is set to expire in 2030. If they didn't go beyond that, then the CIS would support SB 71. Otherwise, it would oppose and ask the City Council to oppose it. By the way, the port owns the Boy Scout base and it owns all the water inside the breakwater. Easiest call to make would be to Mike Galvin and just ask him all about that stuff about the use of the waters for sailing. The Olympic Committee doesn't have any jurisdiction to permanently close anything in the port.
Thank you, Pat. Any questions, comments for Pat? I see no hands. Vic, vote count?
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Melanie LeBret.
Yes.
Carolyn Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman. Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, that's 10 ayes.
Okay, we're through with agenda item number 6. Moving on to agenda item number 7, President's meeting with the port. Mr. Norman.
I'll keep it brief, given the smoke, unless you want me to expand or you want to fill out. We discussed Fleet Week, which seemed to be quite a big success. They were predicting it would be. The one item that I thought was interesting that I hope we could report on is they teased us about Outer Harbor. They made it seem as if the vendor was going to be selected and announced in the next week or so, as I recall. And I've been just checking the website right now for their press release and reading the LA Times and other things. I've not yet to see that. They led us to believe that we would be happy with the vendor selected, but I'm not happy until I see it. So maybe somebody has heard something more, but those were the two items I think of greatest interest to this group discussed at the last meeting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've been kind of keeping an eye out for the same update and haven't seen it. I don't know, Thomas, maybe a call to or an inquiry to.
I think I'll call Mike on both issues.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Great, thank you. Any comments or questions for Thomas?
Or Augie first, so I don't get in trouble. They always tell me to call Mike, and then I get yelled at. So go through the channels.
Yeah, Augie might get a little bothered by that.
Oh, the decision? Oh, it was the local group. Oh well, thank you, then, Diana. So, all right. Well, then we're very excited.
Okay. All right. Okay, I see no hands or anything, so thank you for that. Move on. Closing item 7, moving on to number 8, which is our community reports. Melanie, you want to?
Just the only thing on budget and finance is just to announce that the Budget Advocate budget day is June 21st. And there's a link on the agenda as well as there's a flyer on the table for it. Basically, it's from 7:30 a.m. with a free breakfast, and then you learn about the budget, and then it's over at noon. So it's open to stakeholders, it's open to board members, come and learn about the budget. I'll just do public safety too. And then public safety, the only thing that we have is on the 23rd, I'm going brain dead here. On the 23rd of June at the Cabrillo Aquarium is going to be the emergency preparedness town hall put on by Jim McCoster, and the neighborhood councils are joining in. We are going to provide a bunch of refreshments as well as print material, as well as I did these. It's a little card that tells you what to put in on the flash drive. And then we have these flash drives that have our neighborhood council logo on them. And this way you load whatever items you need to evacuate with of your personal files, pictures. It tells you all the stuff that you need on it. Important information about your medication, insurance information, mortgage information, all the things you need. That way you don't have to worry about running around grabbing all the paper files of everything. You have it all here on the zip drive, and it's already in your to-go bag. Flash drive. So, so that'll be from 6 to 8 at the Cabrillo Aquarium Auditorium. And is the parking going to be open, right, for people just to come in and park?
Yeah. So when you get there, you just need to mention you're for the town hall.
Okay, alrighty. That's what I've been telling people, that if they're there for the town hall, they just get in. And there's flyers on the table for that also. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, any comments? Okay, thank you.
I got some more clarification on your question about the Scout Center. So the court is putting out a request for proposals on RFP for that building. So everybody will have the option to put in a proposal on what they want to do with it. There is no date for when that RFP is going to go out, but there is an intention to put an RFP out. They put an RFP out last time, and the Boy Scouts submitted. They were the only ones that submitted, and the court didn't accept it. Why is it?
Use the mic so we can hear what you're saying.
Didn't they do an RFP before, and there was something about the pool that they had to accept it the way it was?
That's what I was saying. They did an RFP before. The Boy Scouts were the only ones to submit, and the port did not accept it.
As long as I've been around, the port has tried to figure out what it wants to do with the Scout Center. They've gone to the Metropolitan Board of the YMCA. They've gone to the Boy Scouts. Any number of people at the south end of town have made proposals to turn it into a place for the community to use on a reservation basis. It may be that they've done it in the past and haven't received any proposals. Maybe they will this time around. Nobody can tell. That's why they're going with an RFP.
All right. We're going to move on to the other reports. Again, it's approaching 8 o'clock. So if we can get through this quickly, then we can get through this quickly. Okay, Drew, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for staying.
Youth and outreach?
No.
No report. Community issues?
No.
Plan and land use?
We just thank you all for your attention to our items, and we do have the joint planning and land use meeting on June 25th. We had an early meeting, so the one you might have wanted to come to that would be scheduled next week has been canceled.
And there's two items of interest on the June 26th meeting. The first one is, you may recall, we took a position on the EIR on the proposed truck chassis project on North Harbor Boulevard, where they've asked, the proponents have asked to come and speak at the Joint Planning Committee, so they'll be talking to us about their project. I don't imagine it'll change our minds, but we'll certainly listen. The other thing that will be on that agenda that's of interest is there's a group that's proposing to put large kiosks, and there's a motion to have to out to bid for such a thing, but the company who is probably the only one that does it is going to come and talk to us about their kiosks, because there have been a lot of questions around those. So those are two really interesting items on that agenda. Other than that, unfortunately, I noticed that the reports from the committee, only one of the three reports actually got included in the packet, even though we sent all three in.
Bylaws and elections. No report except, again, our product is seen every month by the agenda, and we did have the discussion regarding the other issue that Lori had brought up.
Sustainability, nothing.
I'm sorry, that's a more executive committee. Bylaws and elections, nothing. Executive committee's already done. Environment, sustainability, Gwen's not here. Christensen Science Center?
Nothing. Well, last I heard is Vita Be Fed is planning on getting some goats there. That's their intent by sometime in 2026, but no specifics yet. They have to make the area safe for them before they can get them there. But they have chickens there now, and they're working on getting goats.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Seeing none. Closing out agenda item number 8 and moving on to 9, liaison reports. Animal shelter liaison.
No, gone.
She's not here. Dan Dixon's not here for the DWP. Public Works, Chris.
No.
LA liaison, film liaison, Cynthia, not here. Sustainability Alliance, Gwen's not here. Data liaison, Gwen and Vic. Anything?
Nothing.
And Chris, anything? Nope.
No data.
Nope. Okay, no data. Okay, announcements. Any announcements of future agenda item suggestions? Nothing? Okay. That's item number 10. 11, general public comment for the last time. I had one here.
She left.
She left right away. So I'll just indicate it as no comment. The closeout 11. Next meeting is the 14th of July, 6 o'clock. And then without objection, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
At
Thank you.
8:02. Record time.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Is it record? Is it?
You and
Actually, maybe
you and Chris are like that.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, it's not a competition.
This time.
Well,
no,
I mean,
Chris is. He's learning from Chris. That one speed meeting that Chris
The
did.
student has become the master.
I just want to breathe.
It's so bad. I went to the restroom and came back, and it was so thick.
Yeah.
I almost didn't come back in because I couldn't breathe.
Honestly, it's just a windfall.
Is it thick in the bathroom?